Hello, everybody. Welcome to Way Out of Childhood Trauma podcast with Lela Mrdak from Mind Freedom Therapy and me, Barb Smith Varcl from Your Step Counseling program, Trauma Response Reprogramming. And we welcome you to our second episode when we will discuss more about childhood trauma and how it's affecting our lives. And for this week, we choose the topic which is very close to our own hearts, which is the feeling of isolation, feeling of not be disconnected with the other people. So Lela, what you would tell people who listen how childhood trauma affecting this feeling or creating this feeling of isolation?
Yes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our second episode. I'm very happy to be here with you, Barb, and I would love to talk about how people become isolated and lonely, and they cannot trust others. They cannot trust themselves after experiencing trauma, because even if trauma happened a long time ago, even if someone told you that your symptoms are not like someone else's symptoms, or it took a while for you to realize that something traumatic has happened to you, it's still valid, and it affects how we create new belief systems, because traumatic events often shatter belief systems and rob people of their sense of meaning and purpose. And people usually develop feelings like, I can't trust myself to make the right choices in life. Or whenever I have friends, they become my enemies. Or I need to sacrifice myself in order to be accepted by people, in order to avoid rejection. Or I'm not good enough and deserving of friendships. And after experiencing trauma, people are disconnected from their feelings. They usually become emotionally numb, or they feel overwhelmed and they feel too much. So traumatic stress goes in one of two ways. Survivors feel too much and feel overwhelmed, or they feel too little. And sometimes, in order to avoid this feeling of emptiness and numbness, people start constantly repeating the scenarios of the traumatic event in their head and trying to understand what happened to them and why it happened to them. And they become addicted to negative thoughts, negative expectations, fear, and they unconsciously but purposefully begin to use their trauma as a source of meaning, a source of having any feeling but numbness. They prefer to feel even pain, the sadness, disbelief, anger, instead of feeling numb. And people isolate themselves because they want to avoid more pain. They want to stop everyone from hurting them ever again, and they have troubles with trusting themselves in making the right choices in partnerships, in friendships, or making very important life decisions. And they also become very, very untrusty and extremely cautious all the time. They're always expecting danger. And this means that they're definitely in a long-term stress response. Unlike animals who can activate short-term stress response, humans activate long-term stress response. And this is why they stay isolated for longer. That is wise and useful.
Yeah, it's also like when we're looking on experiences of children which experiencing the trauma in that time, is that they are facing the ways that they would be humiliated if they will tell somebody about what's happening in their homes or what happened to them, or they will be ridiculed or will not be believed. So they really learn to hide who they really are. They learn to lie. Often they learn to not telling what is really happening, lying themselves that it will be better, it will be okay. And also often if they try to share with other people, they don't understand because it's a reality they don't know. They cannot understand like how your mom is not picking you from football, how your mom is not making you lunch, how your father it's not taking you to the fishing trip, how, you know, like these all scenarios which they could have, and they don't. They hiding if there are any violence, they would hide their bruises, they would hide they are in the pain, they would feel deeply ashamed about behavior of their parents in the public, and they don't want to even be almost associated with them. So they really learn not to connect with other people because they just accepting a refusal, they expecting to be disbelieved, to be humiliated. They don't expecting to be understood. They not have that experience that somebody would actually care and understand and support them. It's very rare for them to face that. So often even family members not trusting them what's happening in their lives. So that's creating that huge trust issue, that huge disconnection from other people, because they just don't have that experience of somebody to accepting them fully, and they learn to hide what is really happened to them. And when I'm working with my clients, and some of them admit that I'm the first person who they ever told what really happened to them, what actually happened to them. That because before that they never trust that somebody would really take them with that and really still care and not judge them and not saying that it's their fault. Because even when we as the adults looking on the children which going through childhood trauma, we know, we understand that it's not their fault. It's absolutely not their fault, but they don't understand that. They believe that it's their fault. They believe it has to be something wrong with them if their parents doesn't love them, if you know somebody allowed to happen to them things which shouldn't happen to children. Is it if it's the sexual abuse or if it's the physical or mental abuse? So it's really a big issue for people with the childhood trauma, that they develop this isolation, and it's really hard to overcome it.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Barb. This is all very true. Everything you've said, I agree with you, because with working with different people, I have realized that they have something in common, and it's what they learn after experiencing trauma. If they have experienced, for example, the rejection by their mother who never wanted to have them, or by their father who never wanted to have a girl, he wanted a son, or if they are rejected because they have special gifts and they're different from other family members, they learn to reject themselves because everyone else in their lives has rejected them. The most important figures like parents or caregivers or family, friends. Also, I have experienced that some of my clients were sexually abused as children. And it's very, very sad when I hear them say how they went to their mother or their father and they have explained in details the situation, the abuse by their professor or teacher or a family member. And the parents say, oh no, you have just watched a porn movie and this is why you're telling us these lies. Or they say, you're reading too many books, your imagination is producing this story. And they feel disappointed. They feel that no one believes them. They feel abandoned. And what is that they learn from this experience? They learn to abandon themselves. they learn not to trust themselves about what happened to them. They deny the trauma, and they don't even want to be aware that the sexual abuse happened to them when they were children. Or they learn that nobody can be trusted, that they're absolutely alone, they can only rely on themselves, they can save themselves because nobody else would save them. And this is how they create the meaning from the trauma, the purpose. They create a belief because there is some benefit, false benefit, in this belief that, for example, their imposter syndrome is protecting them from being judged or being rejected, because imposter syndrome is about vigilant mindset. And there are many, many examples, Barb, of how people behave after experiencing trauma, and every behavior, every feeling, every expectation has purpose.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a very wide range, is it? Because for some people, it will be creating the numbness by eating too much or eating too little, just trying to really control that feelings in the way of in the end developing eating disorder. For some people, it's outbursts of anger. They cannot control it. They just get angry to everybody because they just so angry that it's happened. They're so angry that it was allowed to happen, and often they even going like back to it because the society telling them that you have to keep contact with your parents, for example, and it's so detrimental for them that they are most forced to face the people who caused them the trauma, like, and it's almost yeah, it's kind of very sometimes I feel like very unhuman when trying to tell people, no, you have to hold it in and you have to just follow society expectations, because then it just creates even more isolation. Also, some people become very emotional, as you were speaking about, that that it's overwhelming feelings too much, and their mind it's not coping with it very well, and they would react very emotionally to every situation, and then they are kind of labeled that like they are too much, that they are like hard to be with, is it? So again, they will hide themselves, they will isolate themselves from others, they will not trust that somebody would actually accept them as they are. And I think that it's one of the biggest issues of recovery from childhood trauma, is that change, and irrespectively that belief that it's going to be change, that it's not has to be forever, that they can actually recover from trauma, they can release these feelings and find that meaningful relationships and find deep relationship with other people, but that overcoming that numbness, or high emotions, find that balance, find that reaction only to the current emotions. It's a process, but it's really important to understand that it's possible, is it? Because we both know from our clients we work with that it is possible. That and people coming to me and they don't believe, is it? They're feeling I tried so many things and I'm still reacting and I'm still triggering, and I cannot go out because I'm excited. I have so high anxiety to meet somebody. I am so worried to speak with people, how they will take me. People were describing that, like if they tell somebody that they have traumatic experience, they would ghost them. They would just like absolutely, abandon them again. So it's kind of repetitive model of that. So on one side, we're speaking about that mental health is important and we should speak more about mental health. On the other side, still a lot of people are reacting in very negative way if somebody admitting that they have these issues, and instead of supporting them and help them build that trust, find that there are people who are good and find the people who will accept them as they are, they just kind of support that conviction that they are so damaged that they cannot be repaired. But that's not true, is it? So do you have some example of somebody from your practice who changed the way that now they can have the meaningful relationship that came out from that shell of hiding?
Yes, I have had experience with one woman who had developed serious disconnection from her inner guidance, from her intuition. And she wasn't following her intuition, her inner voice, because she was repeatedly abused by her father. She was rejected by her mother even before she was born because her mother never wanted to have her. And then her parents have damaged her financially, have caused her so much emotional pain and mental pain by creating financial losses. And also, she has learned from the moment she was born that she cannot trust her parents. And she was thinking, if I cannot trust my mother, if I cannot trust my father, I cannot trust anyone. It's not safe to trust anyone. And she also thought that, oh yeah, this is my fault. I shouldn't believe in myself, in making the right choices, in making good decisions in life, good business decisions. This has affected her business. This has affected her personal life because she was picking the partners who were abusive towards her. And she was feeling so deeply disconnected from her inner guidance, from her higher self. And in one moment, she realized that she needs to put all those broken pieces back together and she needs to heal. She realized that she needs to rebuild those parts of her life and her life story again, because she realized that there are many emotions who were triggering her. Emotions like anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, helplessness, powerlessness, anxiety, depression, aggression, and a lot of hate. So whenever people feel triggered by certain emotions, this means that they need healing, that they didn't heal their past trauma. And they need to make sense of tragedy in therapy. And art therapy sessions always lead to understanding what is the purpose and the function of certain issue in someone's life. Because it has purpose. Sometimes the purpose is to protect, sometimes to help, sometimes to punish. But when they understand that this issue had a certain role and purpose at one time in their life, and in many years later, it just creates blocks for them, they are ready to release, to change, and transform their lives. And yeah, many clients have discovered that they can get their power back, and that is possible to heal. They don't have to be broken forever. They can rebuild their life. They can put all those pieces of their broken soul back together and become a better version of themselves.
Yeah, they're becoming themselves, really, is it? Because until then, they kind of playing the different roles and trying to be somebody or something to survive. They still in surviving mode and still, get stuck in the surviving mode from childhood and not really living their own life, not living really their purpose, not living who they really are. And yeah, I have also many clients which some of them was coming with not able to going out and meet with anybody and change the way that build up the new relationships, you know, and be accepted and build up completely like a new way of life. And that's very satisfying feeling, you know. It's kind of living, you know, for me, it's living my life purpose, that I see the transformation in people's lives. It's somebody who was abused as the child, and in the end is able to become that strong, independent, glowing, shining, amazing person, which going out, build up the business or get the job, and, you know, becoming really, really themselves. And I think that that's really powerful in that way. What we work with is the in our programs, because it's very important for people to realize that isolation is only in one client. Sorry for the kind of abrupt ending, but with one client I spoke about it. It's like being princess in the tower, is it? It's like Rapunzel on the top in the tower, and on one side prisoner of own prison, and waiting for somebody to come save me. And yes, because for child somebody should came to save the child is not strong enough, so big enough to save themselves. But when we staying in the tower and disconnected and just too far from others, nobody will come, because nobody knows actually that we are there even, you know. So only way is like us is. I really like one adaptation on Rapunzel, that she stopped waiting for the prince to help her. She just cut off her hair and make the ladder from it and climb down by herself, you know. So instead of waiting the prince coming up. And it's about that. We need to get ourselves out from that. And it's, as you perfectly describe it, it's about a trust yourself, because when we are disconnected from emotions, when we still living in the trauma and we don't believe our instinct, yes, we feel unsafe, because our instincts is what keeping us safe. Our feelings of discomfort, or we like it or not like it, or somebody going over our boundaries, are we getting righteously angry, or are we calm? That are feelings which helping us navigate in the world and feel safe in the world. And when we are disconnected from all these feelings, we don't feel safe, because we don't know them, we don't understand them, we numb them, and then we cannot go out and be that beautiful souls coming, that beautiful people. And it's so amazing to see that how people changing with therapy, and how it can be quick, and it's not take decades, it's really take few months. And how they are like butterflies going from the cocoons, you know, they're really leaving that cocoons, leaving the towers, leaving that hiding caves, and going out between people and fighting who they really are. And then they are people who want to be friends with them, and there are people who are attracted to them, is it, and accept them as they are, because we are all valuable. And that's very important. What I want to tell to people who listen to us, that everybody have the value. Every single of you have the value, and you are here for purpose. You are that one little puzzle piece in the universe. So just be yourself and find a way. It's really important to step out from the hiding and go out. And I'm really applauding to everybody who trying and do that. And so just keep doing it.
Yes, that's a great message, Barb, to encourage everyone that with the help of the therapy, they can empower themselves, they can become the best version of themselves, and they can have everything they have ever wanted, because they just need to change the way how they think, what they believe, and what they expect from life. If they start expecting that everything is available to them, then they will be empowered to take risks, to take chances, to fall in love again, to try to find new careers, new purpose in life. And they can drastically change their lives. In 1 year, in 6 months, they can be on a new life path, on the path of healing, happiness, joy, and purposeful life. And people need to understand that whenever they feel and experience traumatic event, their brain, their reptilian brain, is acting the survival mode and disconnecting from the emotions. And we have all experienced this. We have all experienced these emotions of anger, pain, hurt, hate, aggression, fear. And these are all familiar emotions because we have all experienced them. But we need to learn that these familiar emotions can be replaced with better emotions, emotions like feeling that you can trust yourself, feeling that you can expect to be happy, you can expect to be powerful and fearful, you know, instead of feeling hopeless and afraid of everything. So we can definitely use the tragedy and make the sense of the tragedy, of the trauma, of the pain, of anger, of our past, and then we can benefit from it. But we need the guidance, we need the help of the therapists, of the professionals, because we can't do it alone. And we cannot do it just by wanting to do it on the conscious level. We need to work on the subconscious level because our subconscious is always listening, absorbing, memorizing, and storing informations like a safe deposit box. And there are emotions and feelings and thoughts even from the moment when we were in our mother's womb. And we know if we were a wanted baby or not. We know if our parents loved each other or if they loved us or if they rejected us. We have many informations from the moment we were conceived, and we can definitely change our life if we start thinking that therapy and mental health is a priority. And if we decide to break the circle, break the cycle in our family, the cycle of abuse, the cycle of abandonment, the cycle of rejection, we can create new life for ourselves and the future generations.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really important for those who thinking like, oh, do you think that I'm not trying? I'm trying so hard. Really, it's important that that there is available help. We understand that it's not possible to change it just by wanting. It's not possible just change it by some affirmation. You need help, and help is available. And if you didn't listen to our first episode, go and do that, and you will maybe learn more about us, because we both speaking our own experience. So I want to repeat that we know that it's not easy, and we know what everything is entail. We went through that way. We both recovered from childhood trauma, so we absolutely understand how you feel, and it's still a journey for all of us. It's all life journey, but it's really important that we want you to understand that there is help. It's available, and you can contact us the both on Instagram or on Facebook. If you will look for Danijela Mrdak, Mind Freedom Therapy, or Barb Smith Varclova, Trauma Response Reprogramming, or you will find the links on the website of our podcast, A Way Out of Trauma, on podbean.com. And there are links when you can contact us both. And if you want to just speak with us, or you want to would like to answer some question in some future episode, just leave us a message or any media, and we will be happy to answer, or you can reach out for help. Lela, I'm very happy that you came today for a chat. I always love it. So what are your closing words for our listeners?
Yeah, my closing words are that we are all good enough and everything is available to us.
Perfect. So we will see you hear you in the episode 3 in next week or week after. So keep listening to us, subscribe or follow, and you will get notification when the new episode is outside. Bye.
Bye.